What up, fam? I am Dr. Day Luna, and you are listening to Drop It Like It's Doc podcast. Today, we're going to be talking all about postpartum essentials for mama. Because mama, your baby's going to have so many things to take care of them, but you definitely need some sleep. So here we are. I'm apparently 5.5 months postpartum. I have been in a full blackout state for that time. So I sincerely apologize from the bottom of my heart that it has taken me this long to get my shit together, to sit back down in this amazing room to give you some information. But I have a lot of fun stories for you now because I don't even have a newborn anymore. I just have a baby, and the newborn phase was wild, and giving birth is insane. I think a lot of you probably listened to my birth story. If you didn't, it was the one before this, give it a little listen. But you just go from being pregnant to doing the most unbelievable thing that you have ever done in your life. Truly, the most unbelievable thing that you have ever done. However your baby became earthside, whether you pushed him out of your vagina at home, or if it happened in a hospital, or if you had a C-section, the craziest shit that you have ever done just took place. And then you just have this baby, this little like alien that needs you. But you just went through this incredible transformation. Truly, you cracked open. So mama, you're gonna need some support. And a lot of these things, to be honest, I didn't even know that I was going to need, and moms just sent them to me. I'd have my registry of things that I wanted for my baby. All the cute little clothes and, those socks. You don't need any of that because your baby's gonna be naked, you're gonna be naked. What you need is diapers for you. So let's start there. Let's start with what you need, mama. You are going to be bleeding a lot. Again, says the doctor, I don't think that I was aware of how much blood I was going to lose postpartum. And it's wild, honestly. So you'll ideally be laying down for as much as possible. But then you move, you just shift a little bit. You stand up to waddle to the bathroom, which, wow, the first time you go to the bathroom is terrifying. But you go to waddle to the bathroom and you'll just feel this gush of blood out of your body. So I would highly recommend wearing diapers. I really would. I said last night at a dinner party that it feels weird for me to not still be in diapers. I honestly loved them. Still surprised how much I love the diapers. And they're not like baby diapers. I would suggest organic, just period panties that are disposable. You can use the reusable ones, of course, but you're gonna be wearing them for a while. Or you use pads, something like that. But technically you can bleed for up to 6 weeks. A lot of people don't. A lot of people do. Guess who bled for around 6 weeks? Me. Guess who wore diapers for almost 6 weeks? Me. Loved them. Truly, stuck up. After diapers, what else is going to happen to you postpartum is that your pelvic floor, your sweet pelvic floor, especially if you had a vaginal delivery, oh wow. Oh wow. 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 I was appalled when I looked at my vagina for the first time. I was scared. I told my partner to never look at it again. Long story short, she is better. She is beautiful now, but in the beginning, you're swollen. You are in pain. You might have even torn. Yeah, tearing's not fun. I actually didn't tear, but even without tearing, it still hurt really bad. Truly, the anxiety that I would have around going pee was astronomical. And I would just highly recommend, this wasn't something I was going to immediately talk about, but I would highly recommend taking something that makes your poop really soft, like magnesium, because if not, pooping postpartum, terrible, absolutely terrible, okay? So for when you go pee though, you're gonna want to have this on hand, a peri bottle. It is just a little squeezy bottle with a long handle that when you pee, you will just hook it upside down and you're gonna spray yourself with warm water. And by warm, body temperature, slightly warm, not hot. You don't want anything spicy down there. Definitely don't want cold down there either. That doesn't feel good. But body temperature so that when you're peeing, it will just make it so that that acidic urine does not feel like you are squeezing a lemon inside of an open wound. Truly, I would squeal when I would go pee-pee. And even better, I would put some magical herbs in that peri bottle. Once I started doing this, my pelvic floor healing transformed way faster than it would have otherwise. My 2 favorite herbs for you to put in that peri bottle, you're not putting chunky herbs in there, okay? That's not what your lady pots want. You are putting in tea. Steep it like you would any other tea. We're not talking about black tea. We are talking about, I almost said the wrong herb. We're talking about calendula, magical herb, beautiful yellow flowers. So healing, to the skin. And we're also talking about yarrow. Yarrow, its Latin name is actually Achillea, and it has been named that because Achilles, in that time of the world when there was lots of blood and war, this herb would be used to stop and heal the wound. So it is really antimicrobial. It can bring skin together and seal off wounds, and it will just stop bleeding. So it's wonderful to have in that postpartum healing time. Again, putting this in your peri bottle. So that's your little hoo-ha. Some people also like little cooling pads, heating pads. I don't know. I didn't get into that stuff. To be honest, I just let it flow. You also might want, instead of diapers, you might just want like Chuck's pads. You know what those are? You've seen them in doctor's offices before. Or they're kind of like the pee-pee pads that you put out for dogs, which I kind of think is weird. Why do people put pee-pee pads out in the house? Don't you want to train your dog to pee outside? Anywho, same thing. You would lay it in your bed and you could just free bleed on it because you and your baby are going to be spending a lot of intimate time in bed. Yes, you are. And if not, you should, because you should not be standing because you are going to gush the blood. Speaking about what you'll be doing in bed is that you may or may not be breastfeeding. And this isn't going to be a full breastfeeding episode, but if you are breastfeeding, the first time it's going to feel kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. Truly though. There's like this little creature, like this little, it's like, I don't even know. They're little mouths. It's still mind-blowing to me that they can find the nipple and they can just latch on like a leech and suck your milk out of your body. But especially if it's your first time breastfeeding, definitely is for me, there's a learning curve, okay? Where you and your baby have to figure it out. You're both learning together. And the baby has to learn the latch, you have to learn the position, you have to learn how to position the baby in their mouth and everything so that they're breathing right and getting the right amount of milk and everything. So it is a process. And while that's happening, your sweet little nippleitas, they're gonna get hit kind of hard, okay? So you're gonna probably want something for your nipples. I had nipple cream. Isn't this a fun episode? I hope Eric, my producer, is enjoying it. I had nipple cream. The nipple cream was nice. I honestly ended up using it as chapstick. But my favorite thing by far for the nippleitas are silverettes. People talk about silverettes. You think that it's this old wives' tale. You think there's no possible way it can work. They work. They work so good. So silverettes are kind of like these little silver cup things that you would just place over your little sore nipples for as long as you want. I would honestly sleep with them in. Game changer the next morning. So I only need to use those a couple times, but you might want to use them all the time and they might be like $50. Totally worth it. Totally worth it. Throw it on your registry. That's the nipples. Okay, but speaking of now connecting the uterus to the nipples, your uterus, your uterus just went through a unbelievable event. It's probably sore, especially if you had a C-section. I would imagine, I didn't have one. I would imagine that this is extra sore because you just had abdominal surgery. So what can happen is that when baby nurses, it will make your uterus contract a little bit. And sometimes those pains are, no bueno. They're called after pains. And it is truly from that contraction that that stimulus causes of the suction. So herbs can really help for this. I love the After Ease tincture by Wish Garden Herbs. I'll link it in the bio here. I just had it on my nightstand. So when she was nursing and my uterus was contracting, it would just help calm it. They're just antispasmodic herbs, super safe for baby. Know that anything that you're consuming in your body, a lot of things can shift now that you're postpartum, but if you're breastfeeding, you definitely need to be mindful that anything that you're taking by mouth is safe for baby because they will be getting it. Yes, they will. Yes, they will. Other herbies that can be really nice. I love shepherd's purse. Shepherd's purse. So fun fact about me, I don't even remember if I shared this in my birth episode because like I said, I've been blacked out for almost 6 months now. And it's real. You'll see when you're postpartum, you will see where does the time go? I don't know. But I bled so much trying to pass my placenta. It took a very long time for my placenta to leave my body. Still a mystery, but whatever, she did her thing. And I lost a lot of blood. So I was just spooning shepherd's purse, an herb, into my mouth to slow the bleeding down. And for the days to come, for those, few weeks postpartum where the bleeding was still pretty steady, I was taking it to just relax that process because you can get really anemic postpartum because you lose blood, you just built a human, you're feeding them from your own body, you want to keep the blood, okay? So love that herb. And in general, I just love using natural medicine to support this time of life. Some other things that might be helpful for you are homeopathic. So you can take homeopathic arnica. I would actually highly recommend starting to take arnica as soon as possible. The second that you feel your uterus starting to like welcome this next phase of life, I would say take some arnica, because it's going to make it so that the healing process is a little bit smoother, a little bit easier, and it really takes away that like deep-seated soreness, that pain, that feeling as if you've been hit by a truck. That's what it felt like for me postpartum. I was like, wow. My other friend described it as feeling like she was an egg that was cracked open. It does also feel like that. It really does. Arnica, magical. There's a lot of other homeopathic remedies that you could take depending on what happened in your birth process. You know, if you had any surgical procedures, you could get a remedy like Staphylococcus aureus that's really great for, you know, pain at wound sites or incision sites. You could get calendula, which is that same herb that I told you to put in your peri bottle, but if you take it in homeopathics, it helps to seal off tears. So if you tore and if it was irregular. And there are so many different homeopathics you can take. Those are just a couple examples. And you might even want to dip your toe into homeopathics for mental emotional sphere, because it's a transition. Yes, it is. It is a transition. And speaking of that, for this transition, for this mental emotional time, your energy is going to be so sensitive postpartum. So you need boundaries. You need some strong boundaries, especially around your comfort level with people in your home, with people in your space, with people around your baby. I birthed my baby on the 1st of the year, which apparently was the height of cold and flu season. I had the flu. I was violently ill, which I wouldn't recommend, by the way. And I had family flying in from New York, and I was very worried about my baby getting sick. They don't really have an immune system when they are that fresh. So I put a lot of boundaries in place around no one's holding my baby. No one is kissing my baby. You can only stay for this amount of time. When I am tired, I am going to leave. And you're gonna notice these like people-pleasing tendencies coming up, and just remind yourself that that is the most sacred, smushy, snuggly time. You and baby come first. You don't need anything from anyone other than food. You need food. You need food. Postpartum is a time of nourishment, and it's also a time of receiving. You just gave so much to make this human, and you're going to give everything that you have in your body every single day to them. So let your community feed you. I would set up a meal train. I also had a soup party before I gave birth and froze all the soup. That was amazing. But I think if you can, I'm well aware that not many people have access to this, but it could even be like a sister, an auntie, a friend, a mom, who knows? Get yourself a postpartum doula. You need it. They will be there to heat up your food, to refill your water, to, you know, do the laundry for all the vomit and poop that there is now covering every surface of your house. They're just there as a support person. Doesn't have to be a doula, literally just someone that you can lean on during that time. Couldn't recommend that one more, to be honest. Oh, postpartum. What else would I say you definitely need? We covered the nipples. We covered the blood. We covered the diapers. Those are most of them. So please know that postpartum is this precious time in which everyone is going to want to come over, and they're going to want to look at your baby, and they're going to want to kiss your baby and hold your baby. But you are also a baby. You are also a newborn. You have never been this version of yourself. Be gentle with yourself and try to move as little as possible for, traditionally, a lot of cultures say 40 days. And it's because of this tenderness, of this vulnerability of truly having a wound inside of your body, have, you know, this space. You're gonna feel your organs settling. You're gonna feel your gut moving. You're gonna feel your bladder shifting. It's this whole recalibration time. So be gentle with yourself, give yourself what you need, and say no to anything that you don't wanna do, like having a visitor over. Thanks for being here. I hope that you are healing beautifully postpartum, and it's a journey. I will link some of the things in the bio here that I chatted about, but please reach out if you have any questions, and please share this with a mama that needs to know. See you soon.